Hello, this is July 23rd, 2025. I'm Rob Crawley, meeting with Scott Smith, who's a city council candidate and also a current city council member. We're meeting through the wethepeoplemeet.org platform. And a little bit about that group, you can go to wethepeoplemeet.org to find out a little bit more about it. We just meet once a week, every Tuesday at noon, just to try to discuss issues and stay informed. And our group believes that the government really is in the hands of the people as it was meant to be, only if the people step up and take a little responsibility. So this is our attempt to take responsibility. We'd welcome anyone to join us. There's a link on our website at wethepeoplemeet.org. We want it to be a well-rounded group. Conservatives, liberals, every type is welcome because we also believe that discussion will make it so that the polarization that's occurred will kind of settle down if we all kind of discuss rationally and we don't allow disrespect from anyone on our meetings. So everyone should feel free to share their opinion, whether it's this way or that way or the other way, and we'll show respect at all times. Anyway, that's a little bit about our group, and this week we've been interviewing all the city council candidates for Highland City. And our good Dr. Scott Smith, who's on the city council, he's busy during the day meeting with patients, so he was unable to meet with us during the time when we met a bunch of the other candidates. And so we're fitting him in at another time. It'll be just him and I tonight. And we'll ask the same questions of him that we asked all the others, give him a chance to answer those. And excited to learn more about him and his platform. So, with that, I'll get started and ask you just to tell about yourself and what made you want to run.
Well, I've been a long-term resident of Highland. In fact, you could almost call me a Highlander, but I think you have to live here 40 years at least. But my wife and I moved here 36 and a half years ago. We raised our five children here, and we now have eight grandchildren. And I've had the opportunity serving a couple terms or so on the city council. I'm serving at this particular time. And so I'm a physician. I serve on a number of boards. As I've got older and my family's been grown, I've wanted to give a lot of community service. So I've served on several boards. Currently serving on the Utah State Developmental Center board. I've just been nominated and sworn in to the Utah County Public Health Board. Because of my city council responsibilities, I'm on the North Point Transfer Station for the garbage. I've been on that board. I'm on the Animal Shelter Board. I've served on the Library Board for 8 years in the past. And I've also been on the Lone Peak Safety Board for a couple years in a previous term. So I've got a lot of experience. Having lived in Highland for the last 36 years, I think I understand a lot of the issues in the city and things that we've discussed many times on a lot of these different boards. And I have kind of a feel for what I consider to be Highland values, and I've been very supportive of them over the years. So, I've liked our blue laws,
Mhm.
and I kind of stuck up for. Certainly, I was the only one that voted against alcohol sales as a physician. I have a hard time supporting more alcohol sales because I deal with all the problems of alcohol. And I'm always worried about safety things. So I did a presentation. We talked about that 2 years ago. And there was a referendum that didn't quite pass, although now the state Supreme Court has ruled on things. I'm kind of wondering if it would have passed if the rules they were using then were invalidated. But, you know, um, a lot of my platform is I'm pretty proud of the fact that in 2.5 years, we'll have all of our bond debt paid off. In my flyer I just sent around, I compared our bond debt to American Fork, who's kind of the city that we share zip code with. And I'll talk about the zip code in a minute. But they have $80 million in bonded debt. We have 3 million. And so when this bonded debt's paid off, we'll be able to sunset the road fee, the monthly road fee, and finance the roads and stuff from the $1 million we spend on bond debt. So I'm pretty excited about that. we haven't had a property tax increase in Highland for 17 years, since 2008. And in 2010, actually, property taxes were lowered a small amount at that time during the recession. Um, we have some fees. We do have a Lone Peak safety fee. We don't know how long that will last because the state legislature kind of has a big debate about fees. As I said, the road fee will probably go away within 2.5 years. We had an open space neighborhood fee, which was very contentious for 18 neighborhoods. And I kind of spearheaded eliminating that just because of all the contention that it caused. So that affected 18 neighborhoods in the city. I've been very active in open space issues. The open space concept for the open space neighborhoods, they were created about 25 years ago. And I like the open space and the concept, but there was design problems. So there were a lot of orphan properties that the city couldn't maintain. And we've set up a procedure where some of those have been sold to the residents. We've got a lot of trails that we haven't been able to maintain, although we're finding other resources, and we've got, a list of priorities on that. Because I like trails. I think they're very important things, but I also think they need to go somewhere. We just got a MAG grant to finish a trail between the Mitchell Hollow area and the Murdoch Canal Trail south. It'll land at 9,600, but eventually we'll go down to the equestrian park. So we've been pretty aggressive the last few years in getting some grants and things. The new Highland Family Park, which I think has been planned for like 15, 16, 17 years. We build it without any increases in taxes. We build it from new impact, from growth impact fees. We got $1 million in donations. We had some grants, some federal ARPA funds, but we didn't have to raise taxes nor bond for it. So we're pretty proud of that park. It's almost finished, with a lot of good donations from a lot of good people. So, and we finished the Spring Creek Park. We actually sold part of that land down there to help finance the other park. So we've done a lot of kind of innovative ways to keep from raising taxes. And like I said, we just got a grant to finish to improve 6800 West as well as 10400 and put some sidewalk in around Strasburg Park. And we're trying to make safe pathways for the Highland Elementary School up there. I think you live up that way.
Wonderful.
But that's kind of some of the things we're working on.
Uh-huh.
I've been working with the city maintenance people. We had a lot of trouble with sprinklers and stuff. We're trying to green up the city and make our parks look better. We've done a lot of work on some of the parks. So we've got lots of kind of goals and plans. Do you have other questions? I'm probably talking too
Oh
much
yeah.
to do that.
Well, that's probably the most important one. That's the most
Uh,
important question, so we can get to know you and what's
okay.
important to you.
So you
So
kind of told me a
there's
lot of
six,
what we're talking about.
there's
Yeah.
six more questions and about 6 minutes or 7 minutes
Okay.
left to answer them. So maybe 1 minute per question remaining. But some of them are repetitive on what you've already said. So the first one that I want to address that's left is what issues in Highland are important to you? And you've listed a bunch of them, but if you left any out, here's a chance to throw them in there. So,
Well, some of the issues are public safety.
mhm.
Since 2020, with some of the issues they've had with getting good police officers and fire department, because a lot of people, after the 2020 riots, the national riots, the George Floyd issues and stuff, it became very hard to hire new officers, new paramedics, and different things because a lot of them retired. They were just kind of frustrated with everything. So that's a big issue. And our Lone Peak safety costs have gone up over $2 million in the last 5 years. And at the last budget meeting, I said, we really need to ask ourselves, how are we going to finance that? I mean, public safety is incredibly important. And we're going to have, four, for example, firemen, paramedics in the Highland City building, as well as four over in Alpine. But that's been kind of contentious. And we're working with Alpine to kind of work out the costs and the financing of that. So that's a big issue. The other thing is I really like to see ways that we can upgrade our parks and trails.
Mhm.
And there are some funds that are coming. Like I said, we just got grants and stuff on roads, but we've had grants for the park and stuff. So that's important. But the most important thing to me is running the city efficiently and economically so that we don't have to raise taxes. And I think a lot of people are pretty sensitive to that because your taxes have gone up phenomenally for the school board over the last few years. With the splitting of the Alpine School District, we don't know, how much that's going to cost us. So we're looking at that pretty carefully. So there's a lot of things up in the air right now. School boards, or not school board, but school district split. How that can be financed? Is that going to change costs? So,
All right. Well, the next question is, what was your stance on the move to legalize alcohol and why?
well, I'm the only one that voted against it on the council, and I did a large presentation saying why I was concerned about safety. As a practicing physician who takes care of a lot of people with alcohol problems, it's very hard for me to say, let's sell more alcohol. And I've been kind of concerned about that. I know a lot of people say, well, let's allow that so we can have some nice restaurants. And I've voted for and supported Highland Mains. And we go to Little India and eat different things. But I just have a lot of worry about, people that inappropriately drink. And so that's why I vote against it. As a physician, it's really hard to kind of vote for alcohol sales. Now I know a lot of people support that, and I can understand their reasoning. And I'm not trying to overturn that particularly. It's like I've told other members of the council, once the vote's over, I support the majority opinion. But that's why I voted against it.
Perfect. Yeah, I've eaten at Little India. Love the food there. I did not want the alcohol in the city either. Maybe I'm not supposed to, shouldn't say my opinion in this, but there you go.
Right.
Um, High density housing. What is your take on high density housing, additional high density housing in Highland?
Well, we're under a lot of pressure from the state legislature, and we got good people representing us there. But, there's this kind of need to build more housing with the growth and the economic growth in Utah, which I support. But, I think Highland needs to stay unique. I support larger lots. We've done survey after survey, and people want R140 or R120, which is half acre to acre lots. So we have got some higher density in the city. The Ridgeview area south of Lone Peak High School was a compromise with the state. So the state owned that property. I had a lot to do with that development there because I was on the USDC governing board and
Mhm.
helped pick the developer and different things. And originally, the state wanted to put like 1,121 residences in that property. And we got it down to 689, which is still a lot. And there's great people living there. But I feel like that meets the state mandate, plus the higher density we have in the town center, which that was always slated to be higher density with the design in the town center. So, but the rest of the city, I like our open large lots. I like our open space. I like the rural feel. That's why I moved to Highland.
Mhm.
And I think if you really like the higher density and stuff, we got plenty of cities around us. And I've said this many times in the general plan meeting, we are not an island in the Pacific Ocean. There's plenty of places if you want to have smaller density. So, I understand the concern people have is, gee, our kids can't live here, but we allow attached accessory dwelling units. We're talking about detached ones on lots. We're trying to accommodate all age groups in that, but I sure like to keep larger lots here in Highland.
Yeah. How do you feel about the proper role of government for cities? That it's kind of defined by the federal, by the Constitution for the federal government, but it's a little less clear for cities. But where do you draw the line, or how do you define the proper role of governments with cities?
So, one of the issues is a city council member and elected by the people. I think it's very important that the local people have local control. And one of the problems that we're running into, and again, I like our representatives on the state, different things, but the state's been becoming more and more involved in land use decisions and things. The council used to be in charge of all the developments and that. Now they've kind of circumvented that. It goes through the planning commission and in our development review committee. And a lot of times I've had to sit in council and say, hey, you've got to give us a list of all that's going on. So if they meet the zoning requirements, they can just go ahead and develop. If they don't, then it comes to the council. But I'm concerned, that as local representatives of the people, we need to have more say about our city because, it's kind of, we live here. And sometimes I think, federal and state become too demanding. I mean, I'm sworn to uphold the Constitution of the nation and the state, but at the same time, I believe in local control and local representation.
Well, I think those go hand in hand. Anyway,
Yeah.
that local control is in the Constitution. Um, do you feel that the bond fee should continue after the bond ends in 2 years, or should taxes be reduced?
The bond fee.
Do
Are
you,
you
do you
talking
feel,
about the road fee?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
the
so,
bond that ends in a couple of years, and
well, the bond ends a couple years, and that is paid for from impact fees and various fees, comes out of the general fund in the end.
Mhm.
So that particular money can then be used for the road. So when the road monthly fee, the 1850 was set up, it was supposed to sunset in 11 years. It was supposed to sunset when the bonds are paid off. And my feeling is once the bonds are paid off, let's use that. This year it's $945,000. Let's use it towards the roads.
Mhm.
And but we'll have to make some hard decisions because I hear rumors from the state all the time. We're going to cut our B and C, our road funds and all the other funds that we get. And, the county gives us some and things. So we'll do everything we can not to prolong that road fee.
Mhm. What current day politician do you feel that you relate to most or align with politically most?
Are you talking about on a city level or state level?
I'll let you decide that.
Well, uh, I'm going to talk about at a federal level. So Mike Kennedy,
Hmm.
he and I have been business partners for years.
Yeah.
And we've been both practicing premier family medicine. And Mike calls me up once in a while. I have his number on my cell phone. I don't abuse that, but we have a good relationship. And I appreciate his conservative philosophy. I think he's a good representative in Congress. And the thing I'm impressed about Mike is that he came home, walked in the Strawberry Days parade because he tries to get to the parades and meet the people and stuff. Then he came over to my office and did urgent care as a physician for 8 hours. And I was pretty impressed with that. So he's trying to keep up his medicine skills. So he's the one I identify most with. But, at the same time, I like our state senator, Brady Bremer, and I like Kristen Chevier.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of discussions with them.
Hmm.
And I like our state representatives. So I kind of identify with them.
Great. Well, that goes through all of our questions. Do you have any other things you want to share before we end today?
Well, what I want to share is I appreciate your patience with me as I was getting onto Zoom tonight.
No problem.
And I appreciate you doing this and this group that you're leading.
Yeah.
This is great. And, I need to probably join up and participate. But I guess the thing I'd like to say is, I've lived here a long time. I've been involved in community service for a long time. I know the values and I know the issues. So I have a distinct advantage and I'm a conservative. And I think we need conservatives in our government. I think you need a conservative anchor in this sea of change that we're going through all the time nationally. So that's my feeling.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your service over the years on all the boards. And you're sacrificing a lot of your time that you could be giving to your wife, your grandkids, your yard, your house, so many things that you could be
Yeah.
doing. I just appreciate all the time you've donated to the community. And yeah, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for endorsing my little group here. And
No,
yeah,
that's great. We
every
appreciate it.
every Tuesday at noon, the Zoom link is on our website, wethepeoplemeet.org. So anyway,
Okay,
thank
well, I know
you.
how to do Zoom better now.
Wonderful.
I've got it on my laptop, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
thank you. And we'll talk again. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
very good.